What's going on YouTube? Listen up, young elder gang. This is Dr. Michael Carter at you with another banger. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video, fam. I hope this video get at least 100,000 likes. In this video, you will find history definitions, scripture information, and best of all, what we Americans have been deprived of from the beginning, the truth. Keep in mind, this content used in this video is intended for entertainment, educational, and informational purposes only. The information provided on this video is not to be construed as legal advice. We are not legal attorneys. For legal advice, please seek out a licensed legal advisor or attorney. We will give you the total truth as we best understand it today. Be sure to hit that like button, young elder gang. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Hit that bell and don't forget to check back with us every day for new content. All right, let's get started. Big Mama's trump card, they never seen it coming. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verses 52. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. The dead are the American people. The Goodnights made an oath of allegiance with Big Mama. The Black Hands, Lords of London, and world bankers have rocked the real natives of Turtle Island asleep. A trump card which is elevated above its usual rank in trick-taking games. Trump cards then outrank all cards of plain suits. Keep in mind, politicians wear suits. A trump card is a valuable resource that may be used, especially as a surprise, in order to gain an advantage. By playing the trump card, this surprised the elite bankers. A trump card beats a king because in card games, a trump refers to a specially designated suit that outranks all other suits, meaning any card from the trump suit, even a low-value one, will beat a card of a higher value from a non-trump suit, including a king. Essentially, the trump suit is considered the highest ranking in that particular hand, making it the trump card. Any card from the trump suit will win against a card from a non-trump suit, regardless of the card's usual rank. The jack of whatever suit is trump is always the highest card. This is just how the game is played. Jack was the joker's. You know Jack in the box. A lot of this might go over your head. A joker card is a playing card that is typically found in modern French-suited decks and is used in many card games. In many card games, the joker acts as a wild card, meaning it can be anything it needs to be depending on the situation. Donald Trump is the wild card. He's going around playing the fool. However, it can also have other functions, such as being the top trump, a skip card, the lowest ranking card, or the highest value card. The Joker originated in the United States during the Civil War as a trump card for the game of euchre. The Civil War was a part of the game. This is why they bumped off Lincoln. It may have been inspired by the Italian tarot card character known as the Fool. The Italian are the Moors and Mulattoes. In Big Mama's spades, the two jokers are the highest ranking trump cards. The Big Joker, full-color joker, outranks the Little Joker, one-color joker, which outranks the Ace of Spades. Now, all this might go over your head, but listen to it again and the whole storyline is playing out now. A joker is someone who likes telling funny stories or doing stupid things in order to make people laugh. Don't that sound like Donald Trump? A joker is also called a court jester. Court jesters in medieval England had the important role of entertaining the court and keeping the royals happy. A jester is a professional entertainer who performs jokes, pranks, and other acts to amuse an audience. Jesters were especially common in the courts of medieval and Tudor English kings. Like we said, their job was to keep the nobles entertained. While they are remembered in modern times as jokers who wore funny hats, their role was not always filled with laughs, which the deep state is about to find out. Big Mama knew. She always knew. She had seen the patterns, the cycles of power and control that repeated throughout history. Her wisdom was not just from books or stories, but from a deep understanding of human nature and the forces that shape our world. The world was being manipulated. Puppet masters hidden in the shadows were pulling the strings. These unseen forces had been at work for generations, crafting a reality that served their interests. They thrived on chaos and confusion, keeping the masses distracted while they consolidated power. They controlled the money, the resources, the very fabric of society. Their influence was vast, stretching across continents and affecting every aspect of life. From the economy to politics, from media to education, their reach was all-encompassing. These elites, drunk on power and greed, cared nothing for the common man. They lived in a world of opulence and excess far removed from the struggles of everyday people. Their decisions were driven by self-interest, with little regard for the consequences on the broader society. They saw themselves as shepherds, herding the sheep, the rest of us, for their own benefit. To them, the masses were nothing more than pawns in a grand game, easily manipulated and controlled. They believed they knew what was best, and that their vision of the world was the only one that mattered. But Big Mama had a plan. She had spent years observing, learning, and preparing. She knew that to challenge the puppet masters, she needed someone who could stand up to them, someone who was not afraid to speak the truth and take bold actions. She had a secret weapon. It wasn't a weapon of violence, but of disruption. Big Mama created her own strawman. Big Mama played the trump card, a force that could shake the foundations of the established order and bring about real change. She had Donald J. Trump. Keep in mind, Big Mama is Mother Nature first. Donald J. Trump is a man who was not a part of the political establishment, who had built his own path and was not beholden to the traditional power structures. Trump was different. He was a disruptor, a wild card. In a game that had long been rigged, he brought with him a new energy, a willingness to challenge the status quo and speak directly to the people. He wasn't beholden to the money kings. Unlike many politicians, Trump had his own wealth and resources. He didn't need to rely on the donations and favors of the elite, which gave him a unique position of independence. He'd built his own empire, brick by brick, deal by deal. His success in business was a testament to his skills and determination. He understood what it took to create and sustain something of value, and he brought that same mindset to his political endeavors. He knew the language of power, the art of negotiation. Trump was a master deal-maker, someone who could navigate complex situations and come out on top. This ability to negotiate and strategize was crucial in the battle against the entrenched elites. Most importantly, he understood the enemy. He knew who the real power players were and how they operated. This insight allowed him to anticipate their moves and counter them effectively. Big Mama saw in Trump a fighter, a man who wouldn't back down from a challenge. He had the tenacity and courage needed to take on the puppet masters and their vast networks of influence. She saw in him the potential to shatter the old order, to expose the puppeteers and return power to the people. Trump was not just a candidate, he was a symbol of resistance, a beacon of hope for those who felt disenfranchised and ignored. Trump was her champion, her ace in the hole. He represented a chance to break free from the cycle of manipulation and control that had dominated for so long. He was Big Mama's trump card. In a world where the game was rigged, he was the unexpected move, the game changer that could turn the tide and bring about a new era of transparency and empowerment for the people. The enemy was entrenched, burrowed deep within the system, hidden in plain sight. They called themselves bureaucrats, these unelected officials, the unseen hands that guided the machinery of government. But Big Mama knew better. They were the deep state, unaccountable and unyielding, a shadow government operating behind the scenes. Their tendrils wrapped around every lever of power, manipulating outcomes to suit their hidden agendas. They thrived in the shadows, whispering in the ears of presidents, senators, and congressmen, steering the ship of state from the darkness, manipulating policies to serve their own agenda. They were the puppet masters, pulling the strings of democracy. Trump, however, was a force of nature, a disruptor who refused to play by their rules. He stormed into Washington, a bull in a china shop, determined to break the status quo, and the deep state trembled. He slashed regulations, fired incompetent officials, and challenged the entrenched power structures. Exposing their corruption for the world to see, he shone a light on their dark dealings. He knew their game, their tactics of delay, obfuscation, and outright lies. But Trump was relentless. He wouldn't be deterred. With each executive order, each tweet, he fought back. He chipped away at their power, piece by piece, dismantling the structures they had built over decades. Exposing them for the frauds they were, he revealed the rot at the heart of the system. The battle was far from over, but Trump had shown that the deep state was not invincible. The war on bureaucrats had begun, and the fight for transparency and accountability was on. The deep state had many faces, many disguises. They hid behind titles, behind institutions, even behind the faces of ordinary Americans. Big Mama had warned Trump about this. She called them the fake $5 Indians. imposters who claim to represent the original people, while serving their puppet masters. These same $5 Indians threatened the USA Corporation that if they didn't keep paying them and increase their payout, they would expose the truth to the real natives. The $5 Indians are getting mad that USA Corporation is starting to be late on their extortion payments, but the USA Corporation has mailed them all letters notifying them that they will no longer be receiving extortion payments after July 4th, 2025, due to them going out of business. Trump saw them everywhere, using their wag the dog programs. In the media, spewing lies and propaganda. In Hollywood, using their influence to push a corrupt agenda, to always show the $5 Indians in movies and not the real people. Even in the halls of Congress, where elected officials had sold their souls to the highest bidder. But Trump knew the truth. He saw through their charade. He knew their loyalty wasn't to the American people, but to the global elites, the money changers in the temple, so that they could keep original inhabitants of Turtle Island asleep. And he vowed to expose them all. In 1993, Donald Trump testified before a House subcommittee that the mafia was running rampant on Native American gaming casinos. Here he bickers with members of Congress about taxes, the FBI, and if certain tribes look Indian. In 1993, Donald Trump appeared before the United States House of Representatives Committee on Natural Resources to offer testimony on Indian gaming. Keep in mind, the USA Corporation guys are criminals. They were using the $5 Indians to steal Big Mama's mineral rights. Trump caught them. They say the mob or mafia was in on taking out JFK. You think they might be involved in trying to take out Trump, since he was coming after their casinos, like Fidel Castro. Keep in mind the mob connection with the Black Hand. Another part of Trump's testimony that caught my attention. He questioned the legitimacy of Indian tribes based upon the physical appearance of their members. Donald said that the people on the reservation are not the real Indians. They are $5 Indian imposters. Is this you discussing Indian blood? The speakers said to Trump. We are going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood or not. Donald Trump responded with, these people don't look like the real original natives to Turtle Island to me, Trump said. Donald Trump said, I'll tell you if you look at some of the reservations that you have approved, you sir. In your great wisdom have approved. I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir. Now maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians, and a lot of people are laughing at it, and you are talking how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut and you look. Now they don't look like Indians to me, sir, Trump said. Well, I think I might have more Indian blood than a lot of the so-called Indians that are trying to open up the reservations. They rushed Trump out of the building, hoping no one understood what he said. The plot to silence Trump. The very mention of his name sends shivers down their spines. The global elites, those accustomed to operating in the shadows, were caught off guard. They had always believed they could control the narrative, manipulate the masses, and maintain their grip on power without challenge. Trump's rise to power, his defiance of their agenda, threatened their very existence. He was a wild card, an unpredictable force that they couldn't easily contain or predict. His boldness and refusal to play by their rules made him a formidable adversary. They had underestimated Big Mama's resolve, her ability to awaken the sleeping giant, the American people. She was a symbol of strength and determination, rallying the masses to stand up and fight for their rights, their freedoms, and their future. Desperate, they resorted to their usual tactics, smear campaigns, manufactured scandals, even attempts on his life. The media was their weapon, spreading lies and misinformation to tarnish his reputation and turn public opinion against him. Big Mama had warned Trump about this. She knew the lengths they would go to in order to silence him, to protect their interests and maintain their power. They would stop at nothing to silence him, to protect their ill-gotten gains. But Trump was undeterred. He was a fighter, a warrior who thrived on adversity and relished the challenge. He wore their attacks as badges of honor, proof that he was striking at the heart of their corrupt system. Each smear, each scandal, only fueled his determination to expose their lies and bring their schemes to light. He knew the stakes were high, but he was playing for keeps. This was not just a battle for political power, it was a fight for the soul of the nation, for the principles of freedom and democracy that America was built upon. He was playing for Big Mama, for the American people, for the future of freedom itself. In the end, it wasn't just about him, it was about a movement, a vision for a better, freer world, and he was willing to risk everything to make that vision a reality. The Simpsons warning, a Black Hand prophecy unfolds. The signs were everywhere, if you knew where to look. Big Mama had taught Trump about the Black Hand, a secretive family pulling strings from the shadows. We told you about the Smiths and Wayans. Well, another Black Hand family is called the Simpsons. They use so-called white faces as ghostwriters. But they are the real writers. The Simpsons, another Black Hand family. They communicated through coded messages hidden in plain sight, and nowhere were these messages more potent than in popular culture. The Simpsons, that seemingly innocuous cartoon, was one of their favored tools. Big Mama had shown Trump how they used the show to mock, to ridicule, to program the masses. They even predicted his presidency, a not-so-subtle warning of what was to come. But Trump understood their game. He refused to be controlled by their narratives. He would expose their manipulations, their attempts to shape reality itself. The Constitution's foreign mention revealed. The deep state was cunning, but they were not infallible. They had made a crucial mistake, leaving a clue hidden in plain sight within the very document that formed the bedrock of the nation, the Constitution. Big Mama had revealed this secret to Trump. The foreign mention, as it was known, was subtle, easily overlooked by the untrained eye, but it was there, a clear indication that the Founding Fathers had understood the threat posed by unelected bureaucrats, by those who would subvert the will of the people. This foreign mention was Big Mama's trump card, the legal justification he needed to dismantle the deep state, to expose them for the traitors they truly were. The art of the deal, the power of the card, Trump's winning hand. Trump was a master negotiator, a chess player who always seemed to be several moves ahead. He understood the power of leverage, the art of the deal, and in his battle against the deep state, he held the ultimate trump card, the truth. He knew that the American people, once awakened to the truth, would be his greatest ally. He knew that their collective will, their inherent love of freedom, would be the weapon that shattered the deep state's grip on power. And so he fought on, relentlessly, tirelessly, exposing their lies, their corruption, their treachery. He fought for Big Mama, for the American people, for the future of freedom itself. Donald Trump is a businessman, we all know this. But his biggest deal wasn't real estate or casinos, it was ending United States' relationship with Big Mama. What matters is this. America was in a contract, a bad one. Trump, in his own way, decided to end it. This wasn't a boardroom negotiation. This was about hidden history, secret societies, and stuff most people wouldn't believe. But Trump, he knew the deal. He knew America was getting a raw deal, and he did something about it. Some say he was reckless. Maybe he was, but sometimes you need to break a few eggs to make an omelet. And trust me, this omelet, it's going to be huge. Huge. Donald Trump is the liquidator. He is here to liquidate USA core assets. A liquidator is a person appointed to wind up the affairs of a company or firm in law. A liquidator is the officer appointed when a company goes into winding up or liquidation. Who has responsibility for collecting in all of the assets under such circumstances of the company and settling all claims against the company before putting the company into dissolution. In law, dissolution is any of several legal events that terminate a legal entity or agreement such as a marriage adoption. Corporation or union dissolution is the last stage of liquidation, the process by which a company is brought to an end, and the assets and property of the company are gone forever. A legal entity refers to any business organization or individual that's required to meet legal object obligations, as set by local, state, and federal laws. Think of it as a separate person in the eyes of the law. The job of the liquidator is to verify claims of all the creditors and consolidate them to take into his custody or control all the assets, property effects, and actionable claims of the corporate data, to evaluate the assets and property of the corporate data in the manner and prepare a report. The financial position of the United States includes assets of at least $269 trillion, 1,576 of GDP, and debts of $145.8 trillion, $852 of GDP, to produce a net worth of at least $13.8 trillion, 723 of GDP. Let's talk about the Pope. Not just any Pope, but the ones in that fancy Vatican City. Turns out they owed Big Mama a lot of gold. Centuries worth, in fact. And who held the IOU? You guessed it, America. We were the debt collectors for a deal we didn't even make. Trump knew this was crazy, so he did what any savvy businessman would do. He called in the debt. The Pope wasn't happy, obviously, but hey, a deal's a deal, right? This wasn't just about the money, though. It was about sending a message. America was done being pushed around. We were taking back what was ours, and we were just getting started. Pope Francis once said that Christians must have cheerful faces and eyes full of joy. But there was little evidence of those emotions as Donald Trump descended on the Vatican on Wednesday, May 2017 for his first face-to-face meeting with the Pope. Little do you know why Trump and his wife were wearing all black. You wear black in Western culture to funerals. Keep that in mind. Trump met with the Pope to close out the contract for Big Mama. The Pope wasn't happy to see Trump because he knew what time it was. Run that gold, Pope. Trump had USA military cargo planes loaded up with all the gold that's owed to Big Mama and brought it back home to Turtle Island. Imagine America as a giant corporation, USA Corp. Sounds familiar, right? Now imagine this corporation run by people who love spending money they don't have. Credit card maxed out, no problem, just get another one. That's basically what our government has been doing for decades. Trump, being the business guy he is, saw this coming a mile away. The books were cooked, the numbers were fudged, and the whole system was about to collapse. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck. He tried to warn everyone. We're losing money, folks! We're going bankrupt! But did anyone listen? Not really. They were too busy cashing in on the gravy train. Here's where things get really shady. Behind the scenes, pulling the strings, were the real power players, the deep state and the world bankers. These guys are like the puppet masters of the universe, controlling everything from the money supply to the media. They don't like guys like Trump messing with their system. They like things just the way they are, rigged in their favor. They want a world where they call the shots and everyone else just shuts up and does what they're told. But Trump, he wasn't afraid of them. He knew their game, he knew their tricks, and he wasn't going to play by their rules. He was there to shake things up, to expose the corruption and to drain the swamp. An upside-down Bible trumps Masonic message. Now, let's talk about that infamous photo op in front of St. John's Church. You know, the one, Trump holding up a Bible upside down like it's some kind of trophy. The media went nuts, calling him disrespectful and out of touch. But what they didn't understand was the symbolism. You see, Trump was sending a message to those who know how to read it, a message in Masonic code, the upside-down Bible. It's a distress signal in Masonic tradition. Keep in mind, the Bible was a contract, it was a conjure, it means things are not right, it means the system is corrupt, it means help is needed. Boarded up church, a symbolic end to a contract. And what about the church itself, all boarded up, looking like a fortress? That wasn't an accident either. That was symbolic. You see, that church represented the old contract, the one with Big Mama. And by boarding it up, Trump was sending a clear message that contract is closed. We're done here. It was a powerful image. An image of a nation breaking free from its past, an image of a new beginning. Of course, not everyone understood. They called it a publicity stunt. They called it a distraction. But those in the know, they knew exactly what it meant. Bylaws and bankruptcy, United States debt to the crown. Let's talk about bylaws for a minute. You know, those little rules that govern corporations and organizations. Well, guess what? Countries have them too. And America's, let's just say they were written a long time ago by people wearing powdered wigs, wooden high heels, and those funny little breeches. See, when America declared independence, it didn't quite cut all the financial ties with the Crown of England. There were debts, obligations, things like that, and these obligations were written into our bylaws. Fast forward a few centuries, and those old debts, they never really went away. They just got bigger, more complicated, and a whole lot more expensive. The Federal Reserve, a wolf in economic clothing. Now, let's talk about the Federal Reserve. It sounds official, important, maybe even a little bit boring, but don't let that fool you. The Fed is anything but boring. In fact, it's one of the most powerful institutions in the world. It's actually at the heart of America's financial woes. From the stock market crashes to housing crises, the Fed's decisions ripple through every corner of the economy. You see, the Fed isn't really a government agency. Despite its official-sounding name, it operates independently. It's a private corporation owned by a bunch of bankers who have a very cozy relationship with the government. This relationship allows them to influence policies that affect us all. They get to print money, set interest rates, and basically control the entire economy. And guess what? They do all this with very little oversight. They're not accountable to anyone, not the president, not Congress, not even the people. This lack of accountability means they can make decisions that benefit their interests, often at the expense of the public. They answer to their shareholders and their shareholders only. These shareholders are primarily private banks and financial institutions. And what do their shareholders want? Profit. Lots and lots of profit. This profit-driven motive can lead to policies that prioritize financial gains over economic stability. So while the Federal Reserve may seem like a dull, bureaucratic entity, it's actually a powerful force driven by profit motives, shaping the very fabric of our economy. Unconstitutional amendments, the 16th and 17th. These amendments have had a profound impact on the structure and function of our government. Remember those bylaws we talked about? They were designed to protect our freedoms and ensure a balanced government. Well, turns out some sneaky folks figured out how to change them without anyone noticing. They used clever political maneuvers and backdoor deals to push their agenda. They did it through something called constitutional amendments. These amendments were supposed to be a way to improve the Constitution, but they were used to alter the balance of power, specifically the 16th and 17th Amendments. These two amendments fundamentally changed the way our government operates. The 16th Amendment gave the government the power to tax our income. This was a significant shift in how the government could generate revenue. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with taxes. They are necessary for funding public services and infrastructure. But this amendment opened the door for a whole lot of mischief, basically giving the government a blank check to take as much of our money as they want. It allowed for unchecked government spending and increased financial burden on citizens. And the 17th Amendment, that one changed the way we elect senators, taking away power from the states and giving it to the federal government. This shift altered the balance of power between state and federal governments. It was all part of a plan to centralize power and erode our liberties. By centralizing power, the federal government gained more control over the states, reducing the influence of local governance and making it easier to implement nationwide policies without state interference. Dismantling Unam Sanctum, Trump's final act. Now, let's talk about Unam Sanctum. This ancient document, shrouded in mystery and power, has a history that many are unaware of. Sounds like a Harry Potter spell, right? But unlike a fictional incantation, Unam Sanctum has real-world implications that have echoed through the centuries. Well, it's not magic, but it is powerful. This document has influenced the course of history in ways that are both profound and far-reaching. It's a papal bull issued way back in 1302 that basically claims the Pope has authority over all secular rulers. Imagine the audacity of such a claim in today's world. That's right, all of them. From the grandest kings and queens of medieval Europe to the modern presidents and prime ministers of today. Kings, queens, presidents, you name it. The reach of Unam Sanctum was intended to be absolute, a testament to the power the Church sought to wield. It's a pretty bold claim and one that most people have forgotten about. But not Trump. He saw it as a relic of the past that still held dangerous potential. He knew about Unam Sanctum and he knew it was a threat to American sovereignty. In Trump's eyes, this ancient decree was more than just a historical footnote. So, what did he do? He took action, as he often does, with a bold and unyielding approach. He started dismantling it piece by piece. This wasn't just a symbolic gesture, it was a calculated move to protect the nation's independence. He challenged the Pope's authority, a move that sent shockwaves through both political and religious circles. He exposed the corruption within the Vatican, bringing to light issues that had been hidden for centuries, and he refused to play their games. Trump's defiance was a clear message that he would not be swayed by ancient decrees or modern-day politics. It was a bold move and one that earned him a lot of enemies. But Trump has never been one to shy away from controversy or conflict, but it was a necessary move. In his view, the sovereignty of the United States was paramount, and he was willing to take on the world to protect it because the fate of America and maybe even the world hung in the balance. Trump's final act was not just about dismantling an ancient document, it was about securing the future of a nation.